and human rights groups are warning that the prolonged fighting there has the potential to create a humanitarian disaster.
They say the danger to civilians is growing as food, water and electricity supplies are affected. Scott Gilbert is the Director of Humanitarian Emergencies for the aid agency Save the Children in Australia, and he joins us now from Canberra. Scott Gilbert, thanks very much. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Now, you've got teams on standby ready to enter Tripoli as soon as possible. When they get there, what will their main priorities be?
I think the first thing is to make an assessment of what the real risks are, and I think for us as an organisation, child protection is going to be the biggest issue. There are going to be children, there are going to be non-combatants who are caught up in the fighting, but also there's an ongoing risk that's posed from unexploded ordnance, but also the munitions and weaponry that you'll see littered around the streets throughout Tripoli and also more widely through Libya.
All of the footage we see, well, most of the footage anyway that we are seeing coming out of Libya seems to involve lots of young men and lots of weapons. What of the women and children? What do we know about the situation that they're in and what they're doing during this period?
It's unfortunate that women and children will be caught up in this, and you've seen a variety of weaponry available. There's unexploded ordnance that dates back to the Second World War in the case of some of the landmines that haven't been cleared, but also unfortunately even the celebratory gunfire. What goes up must come down, and our experience tells us that children the children and also non-combatants who don't fully appreciate the risks are those that are often caught up in this.
Scott Gilbert, we're just looking at some live footage coming out of Tripoli at the moment. We've got lots of people seemingly celebrating with some flags, and there's a bit of chanting going on as well, just to explain what's going on in the background here. Once your teams actually get into Tripoli, how quickly will they be able to access the people who have perhaps become separated from their families or been displaced from their homes?
Very quickly. I mean, it's important to state that we already have a team operating in Benghazi. We've been there since the beginning of the conflict, and we have a team just across the border in Tunisia who are working with the refugee camp with about 4,000 displaced people there. So there's going to be some huge challenges for us in terms of reuniting and reunifying people who have been displaced during the conflict. But we're ready to go. We have a team on standby in the United Kingdom at the moment who will fly in as soon as the security situation permits.
You do have experience, obviously, in that area with earlier this year. You led the agency's evacuation efforts for corporate clients in Libya. What did you learn from that exercise that will help you this time round?
A variety of things. I think the plus points for Libya is that it's a very resilient society. There are deep factional divisions, but there's no. It's a middle-income country, and there'll be no shortage of government assistance in terms of international governments wanting to support it, as well as a large number of international corporates who will have interests, particularly in the extractive sector, in wanting to get the Libyan society functioning as quickly as possible. So yeah.
Are you able to estimate how many families or how many women and children are in need of help at the moment?
It's very, very difficult to get a handle on this. I mean, the regime itself, as you know, hasn't been particularly permissive in terms of letting cameras in and around Tripoli, so it's very, very difficult to get an accurate feel. The UN tried to move in there yesterday from the western border but was turned back, so very, very difficult, but what we are certain of is that there will be children and families who are in great need at the moment.
It's been such a volatile situation there over the past few days. What security measures do you need to take to ensure that your teams will be able to deliver those services and help the people they need to?
I think there's a couple of things. The first is obviously going to be the threat from unexploded ordnance. I think that the second issue is going to be the fact that there will still be pockets of the regime who will still want to continue fighting, not only in Tripoli but also in Gaddafi's hometown of Sirte. So it's not going to be a cut and dried end to this, and even when it does, there will still potentially be factional infighting, which will mean that it will be certainly not a completely linear transition towards a new society for Libya.
Scott Gilbert from Save the Children, thanks for joining us this morning and all the best.
Thank you very much.